Okay. Yeah, I mentioned about Betty and I's courtship. I had different girlfriends. One was a girl I met in Perry at the roller skate rink. And just, she was about to fall or something. I come around and grabbed her and stabilized her. And then we went to skating together. She was from Orlando. And we went to Dayton. I'd beat her in Perry. I never did. Well, I'd take her home once or twice. She was living in Perry, working somewhere there. And then we had neighbors, or Uncle Albert's closest neighbor, Dad's oldest brother, was from Orlando, and the Lynn's, and Kate Lynn came to Albert's and had heard, well, she had met this girl someplace in Orlando or Perry, and said she was the date me and was about to get married. Well, I just didn't go back to Perry for several months. I wasn't about to. So that ended that courtship. And anyway, Betty's dad was transferred from close to Zebedee was their community they lived in, close to Rayville, Louisiana, to Red Rock, Oklahoma. Well, they was down there in the piney woods, and he called back and told them, said, you can see for miles up here. There's no trees anywhere. And so he rented a house and got moved in. And I met her on Wednesday night at church, of course. I didn't know that Helen Ratliff Earl, my cousin, wife, went to Betty and pointed me out and said, he's available, get him. But that was Wednesday night. I didn't have a date with her until Saturday night. I was wasting time. But no, Glenn was home from college, so it must have been Saturday morning. We was going to Red Rock for something. They lived at halfway to Red Rock. They're on the main road. And Glenn on the way said, that new girl in town, in the area, have you asked her for a date yet? I said, well, no. He just turned in to their house. I knocked on the door and she answered the door, and I said, well, I told her who I was. Oh yes, I met you Wednesday night. I said, well, I'd like to take you out on a date tonight. She accepted. So I guess we set a time, I don't remember. Anyway, I was there and got her, and that was the start of our courtship. And then her dad, well, we rode around. We had a local boy, well, he was local from Perry, was our preacher, going to OBU. He'd been in the Navy and had just got out. He'd been drafted, I think, in World War II. He roughnecked in the oil field, and then the Lord called him into the ministry, and we hired him. He married a Perry girl, Barbara Hamas, her dad's buddy, at the Hamas and Hopper drugstore. And so anyway, we had a little building there they put up for a parsonage, and it wasn't very big. They'd come in on Friday night and So they did deal with them. They had a car, I just had a pickup. So Saturday evening, I'd go get Betty, we'd go by, and then we'd load up in their car. I had a little money. He didn't have any money to waste, but I'd have to buy gas and then pay her both, all four of us, into the theater, and then go out and buy the treats after the date before we headed back. Anyway, Michael, Rhonda's oldest boy, is about dating Flavia, his, I guess you'd say, fiance. He said, well, Grandpa, we have a prayer every time before a date. I said, well, when we run around with a Baptist preacher and his wife, we never had a prayer. So I guess you're way ahead of us. But then Harry, Betty's dad, got transferred to Spencer, Oklahoma. We were in the east side of Oklahoma City. And so Betty didn't want to go. And Barker, the preacher, put her up to asking me to marry her. Well, that kind of startled me. But I sure did like her. And I sure hated for her to move to the city. So yeah, let's get married. So that's why we got married. She was 17, no 16. We got married, we set the date November the 17th. And she was 17 December the 30th. So she wasn't 16 very long. But Uncle Mose, he always knew everything was going on around our household. He was pecaning with Birchall and Thelma. And they was planning something for Saturday afternoon. Mose said that's when Orla and Betty's are getting married. He said he thought Thelma was going to fall in the creek. But anyway, we got married and fixed up the old house down east of Red Rock. It was 28-foot square, I think. I measured it a time or two. It had a kitchen, bigger room, and a living room, and 2 smaller bedrooms. And that was it. And a well out west of the house, and the toilet north of the well. So if you was going to the toilet, you took the water bucket with you to bring back a bucket of water. And that was the hardest water I ever was. After it'd been a water jug going to the field and it got good and warm, you couldn't drink it. It was so hard and it tasted awful. You could drink it while it was cool. We lived there well. Then I got my draft notice pretty quick. I guess in December. Of course, we got married November the 17th. Dad was starting to build his round top, and Martin, 40 by 72. And anyway, I had dug the foundation footing for that. He'd had a dozer to level it spot. And time you dig around 40 by 72 2 times, that's a lot of ditch. With the tiling's made depth 2 times, and then hauled sand from the Arkansas River. There's a sand pit down there. Shovel it off, then go to Ponca City and get crushed rock, shovel that off in piles, so you can set a mixer kind of close and have your cement there. And then Ray Sanders had a truck that he hauled water with. He was just south of us, half a mile. And we hauled water up. We found Dad had located, or somebody had a tank. We got a water pump and could pump that tank full and then bring it up there and use that water to mix the concrete. Oh man, we mixed it all right there. Work, we had built forms and we got that all done. And hauled some lumber from eastern Oklahoma, Pegs, Oklahoma, south of Tahlequah, I believe it was. Anyway, the last load I drove, we'd get up real early, get there just as the sun was coming up. You do that in November, December, you leave out early. That was way east of Tulsa. And get that lumber loaded and head back. Well, you come up a big hill coming into Tahlequah from Pegs. There's a little community where the sawmill was. And just as I got to the top of the hill, the rods went out of the truck. Oh, we was broke down. But I made the top of the hill. Of course, Dad was with me, and we coasted into Tahlequah. And parked there on Main Street. I don't know if it was double parked or what. And got out and went to looking for a shop. And yeah, them 2 or 3 told us Foreman's Garage, that's the best place in town. So we walked down there, they told us where it was. Yeah, they bring it on in. Oh man, them rods in, they had to put in a rebuild engine complete. Anyway, Dad called Bartzell. And of course, there's old country phones, old party lines. Them old phones, Uncle Walt's ring was 3 longs and 1 short. Ours was 4 longs and 1 short. Ray Sanders was 2 longs and 2 shorts. I don't remember any more of the rings, but everybody heard the ring on that line. Well, everybody knew we was over there getting a load of lumber. So he called Bartzell. He said, you go tell Liza to give you the car and come and get us. Give you some money. Said, she's got some there for gas and what have you. Walt, his brother, answered, said, yeah, and I'll come with him. So we knew who was coming. Walt was his dad, was coming with him. But it was a good 3-hour more drive. So we was just loafing up and down Main Street. Till here they come in about 3 hours. But then, maybe just before I left, I got my draft notice. After, well, the draft board seen the marriage license in the paper due. So I was draft bait. If they didn't get me, you get your wife pregnant, have a kid, then you was exempt. So I was drafted to 16th day of January, 1952. So, is that another break?